I'm going to share most notably the 4 C's that I found helped me to not only get through the No Yell challenge, but help to improve my overall connection with my children and my overall engagement with them. So here we go. So these are the 4 C's I came up with, which helped me to quite accurately relay to my husband how I got through the No Yell challenge, because after he came back, it was his turn where he was pushed to some limits, and I tried to articulate how I got through it, and I came up with the 4 C's to help him through that. So now I'm sharing it with you guys too. Basically, it's about maintaining a cordial tone, being curious, communicating how I feel, and collaborating with my child. So cordial, what do I mean by cordial? You know how when you are in a meeting with somebody and you're at your workplace and you're probably not really happy about something that your colleague said or suggested, but you might not, or you probably won't immediately jump and say, yeah, what's wrong with you? Why did you say that, right? You probably won't. Or if you're speaking to a business partner, you're speaking to a vendor or an associate who you value the relationship with, you're probably not really quick to just like be angry with that person, even though you disagree, right? You will probably still try to be cordial with that person and to look at how you can better communicate what you want to say, but not necessarily in an angry or aggressive way. So it's the same thing. You imagine your child is your business partner. Imagine your child now is an associate whom you value the relationship with very much, which you do, right? And therefore, you won't immediately look to lashing out as a form of conveying your displeasure. I know it is counterintuitive because your children are your comfort space. We are family, and in that safe space of family, you tend to let your hair down and you tend to be able to let your real self show a little bit more. So what do you mean that I have to kind of treat them like an associate, like a business partner? What I meant is more on the aspect of, because you value the relationship with them, you're not so quick to show aggression and anger. Okay, you're more likely to think about, okay, how can I still keep this cordial so that neither me nor my child will jump into that intense escalation of that cycle of anger. Okay, so these statements, like these mantras that I remind myself, helps me to stay in cordial mode. It's about telling myself, hey, disarm, disengage from fight mode. Okay, so I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to go all dictator on you, right? So I gotta take off that dictator hat. I'm not here to engage in battle. So I need to disarm, disengage. Okay, disengage from that, disengage from fight mode. I'm not here to fight, and that will help me to stay in cordial mode. Next thing is to be genuinely curious about what is going on in their world. And it can be hard sometimes, because if you see your child just doing something really silly, you must be thinking, why is this child doing that? I need to quickly correct that wrong. But if you go from a curious perspective and ask yourself, what could be going on in her world? And what other perspectives might I not be considering at that point? It helps to open up certain possibilities of why your child might be acting that way, apart from the stereotypes that we are putting in place. I'll give you an example. So one time at bedtime, I was reading a bedtime story to my older son, and my younger son was already in bed and almost going to sleep already. And suddenly my older son just said, "Hold on, mommy," and then he went out of the room. And after a while, he came back in again. So after that, I thought, okay, yeah, whatever, right? Who cares? So he went back into his bed, and I continued reading a book to him. As I was reading and reading, suddenly he got up again, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, mommy, hold on." And he went out again. So by this time, I was pretty annoyed, right? Because first of all, I feel, bedtime for me is like rearing sheep. When you finally herded them into the room, I don't want them coming out again, because it's going to be so hard to get them in, right? So I was already visibly annoyed with that. And second of all, I didn't like to be disrupted from my story. I was reading a book and it has to be interrupted because he kept going out of the room. And thirdly, I of course assumed that he was trying to go out so that he can delay bedtime, so that he can not need to go to sleep, and he's just trying to find excuses to come out and end up playing. So with all my assumptions and beliefs, I probably have already formulated that he was up to no good. And I could have reacted in a manner when he came back into the room that would be reprimanding. I could go, Liam, this is the second time you're leaving the room and you know that at bedtime we're supposed to stay in bed so that I can read my story. So that would have been my usual reaction. But I know that if I did that, it would cause the spikes to come out. So he would go porcupine mode again. Remember, when he feels that he is being scolded or when he feels attacked by somebody, he gets defensive. And then he would start to, don't like you, mommy, go away, mommy. And that would be him putting out his spikes and his defenses. So if I applied that curiosity, which I did, and I'm thankful I did that, when he went out, I was just thinking to myself, okay, this, from my point of view, is annoying because of all my assumptions and beliefs. But what could he really be doing? Why don't I just ask him, right? So when he came back into the room, I asked, Liam, why did you go out of the room twice? What were you going to do? In a neutral tone, remember, right? Genuinely curious and asking, but not in a sarcastic manner, not in a way of trying to incriminate him. Not like, Liam, what are you doing? You already left the room twice. What nonsense are you up to this time? Yeah, that would be already casting those assumptions and beliefs on him. But instead, be genuinely curious. I asked, Liam, why did you go out of the room on the second time? What were you doing outside? And he said, oh, mommy, I forgot to park all my cars properly. I went to park them. Then I asked, oh, what about the second time that you went out of the room? And he said, oh, I forgot to keep my balls also, so I went to keep the balls. And true enough, when I went out of the room later on to check, he really went to park all his trains neatly, because that's how we always taught them to clean up their toys after playing. And that one occasion, he forgot, and I forgot to remind him as well, because I was in a hurry to herd them into the room, right? And true enough, he really did park the toys neatly and put the balls inside. So what I'm trying to say from this example was, because I was curious, I held back my assumptions, I held back my reprimands or whatever I was about to say that was just going to be very focused on what I can see, which was him not being in his bed for bedtime. And because I was curious, I allowed that space and time for him to do whatever it is and come back and ask what is it he was busy about, only to find that all this time, what I couldn't see was him remembering the rules that he had to pack his toys and him going out to do that and not to be up to any mischief of any kind. So that curiosity allowed me to hold back what I was about to say, and it gave me the opportunity to connect with him and to realize the sides of him that were positive, you know, the good things that they were trying to do, about what's right with whatever he was doing, and instead of focusing on what's wrong. The next C is communicate. And communicate is such a big chunk on its own, but I really just broke it down and simplified it for my husband to just facts and feelings. So communicating means being genuine and open with your facts and your feelings to your child. It's also about allowing yourself to be vulnerable and coming down to their level and letting them know how you feel, instead of packaging it up into that whole dictator kind of language and saying it in a very authoritative manner to the child. So what you could really be feeling was that you feel frustrated and you feel like you're getting impatient with your child, right? Because they did not reply to you despite you calling them 3 times, or you felt disappointed. So these are the actual facts and feelings. But how we sometimes packaging it up, you know, being full on authoritative parenting mode, right? We instead say, stop it, why are you taking so long? You're taking too much time, right? It's getting on my nerves. This is not how we're supposed to be doing it. And all of that language, all the words that you use, just in a way is just packaging it as what you're not supposed to be doing, because these are the rules, or because I said so, or because it's just not right. But you're not unpeeling it and letting the raw feelings, which is, I feel impatient, I feel frustrated, I feel disappointed when you don't reply me. So from the start, why couldn't we just say it in its own genuine version? Why do we always have to package it up into a it's not right, you're not supposed to kind of manner, right? So in communicate, it's about just saying facts, feelings, and nothing else. right? So lose the sarcasm, lose the dictator language, lose that aggression and justifying, that self-righteous, that self-justifying language, and just say it as it is, facts, feelings. For example, Alyssa, I called you 3 times and you didn't answer me. So that's the fact, right? The fact was I called you 3 times and you didn't answer me. The feelings, that makes me feel irritated, or that makes me feel frustrated or even disappointed because I have to repeat myself so many times. Yeah, so when you combine it and you just say the facts and the feelings, it's a lot less aggressive. It's not on battle mode, it's not attacking mode, it's not on fight mode. You're just saying it as it is. Your child is more likely to empathize with that and to stop whatever they're doing and reply you, rather than if you repeatedly go on like Alyssa, 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 or if you just went straight out dictator mode. Alyssa, if you don't come now, I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, and most likely your child's going to act up, right? It's going to go into fight mode. Your child's going to start yelling and say, no, stop it, don't count. Yeah, or your child is going to maybe conform, but probably not be very happy with you, right? Her frustration will start showing a few minutes later somewhere in the room, for example. So that's what I meant by communicating just really honestly how you feel and what were the facts. Another way to help that communication is to use I statements, right? I feel so and so. So that requires you to remove your dictator language, your dictator hat, and put on your ally hat. It's letting your child know that, hey, I'm on your team. I'm letting you know how you feel because I respect you as an individual and I believe that you are able to empathize with how I feel. So I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. I'm allowing myself to be genuine in front of you, my most trusted person. So the 4th C, also the last one, is to collaborate, right? So it's instead of you should be doing this, it's applying the let's do this together. It's the together with attitude that could change lots of things. Because that means that you're empowering your child and you are trusting them in their ability to do things together with you. You are treating them like you're equal. And I know that sometimes this feels very uncomfortable for Asian parents, you know, like, well, how can we be equal? We're not equal, you know. I'm the parent, they're the child. But what I mean is when you can respect them and you can respect that they have their own views and they too have the ability to help you, you are already giving them that chance to do this together with you. Right? It's respecting them as an individual, it's respecting that they have the ability to help you. So just like how when your child is not feeling very good, you want to feel like you're able to help them, you're able to help them through those difficult feelings. It's the same when you are experiencing those difficult feelings. Your child has the ability to show that empathy and has the ability to also help you feel better in their own ways, and sometimes in ways that we could not have even thought about. It's powerful. So when you make them feel that, hey, we're in this together, and hey, I value your opinions, I value your ideas as much, they feel like I am on your team, I want to do this together with you. We're allies, and they're more likely to listen, they're more likely to help you through it, and they're more likely to solutionize together with you. So again, another example. Again, at bedtime on one of those nights where I was solo parenting and both my children were in the room, right, in their bedrooms, and I was doing bedtime routine with them. The little brother, my younger son, was already overtired. It was past his bedtime. He was overstimulated. He was very cranky. So he was crying non-stop and he wouldn't settle in his bed. And while he was doing that, his older brother over there was like singing "Oh wheel, oh wheel, oh wheel, oh wheel, oh wheel." He was going on full on with that fire truck song, and obviously that was not helping, right? Typically, I would go, Liam, you're not helping. Can't you see that Titi is overtired already? He needs some quiet. Can you be quiet and stop singing your song first? And if I were to say that, immediately Spike's gonna come out again, right? Because he's going to feel that you are criticizing me, you're criticizing my singing, you're telling me to stop doing something that I enjoy doing, and you're saying that it's my fault that Titi is not sleeping. All of these things are like attacking him. So he would get defensive if he had heard that. So instead, I enlisted his help. Even though he was the cause of Titi not sleeping, I also made him a part of the solution, right? And so I asked him, I said, hey, Titi looks a little bit, he's overtired right now, and he's so cranky, he looks upset, right? What do you think we can do that can help him fall asleep? And when I opened that option up to him, immediately Koko wants to go on full on Koko mode, right? And wants to help to be part of the solution, right? So immediately he stopped his Awing song and he said, we can say shh to Titi. And I said, oh, that's a wonderful idea. Shall we try that together? And he went like shh, shh, shh. So obviously it wasn't exactly like the quietest shh that would help the baby fall asleep, but it's better than a wee, right? And when it did help to calm his brother down a little bit, I said, okay, what else do you think we can do? Shall we pet him? Shall we try? He's like, okay, you can pet him. And so we pet him together, and eventually his little brother fell asleep. So it's the same thing when we want to enlist our children's help in regulating our own emotions. So you might be wondering, how is that going to work, right? So for example, one time, my older child and my husband got into a quarrel, right? And I told them, okay, I think they need some space from each other. So they each had their own space. And then later on, my son came to me and asked me, why is Daddy angry with me? And so I took that opportunity to explain to him. I said, I don't think Daddy was angry with you, but he did feel very tired when he came back home today. He had a lot of work and it made him tired. So he was feeling very easily irritated. And maybe that's why he sounded irritated to you just now. What do you think we can do to help Daddy feel less irritated? So again, it's transforming the I am part of the problem, or I am the cause of the problem, and it's that first person, that victim kind of perspective that he took, that Daddy is angry with me, Daddy is venting his frustrations on me, to Daddy is not angry with you, he's just feeling that way. What can we do to help him feel better? To I am part of the solution, I am not part of the problem. That removes them from being in victim mode and engages them to become in ally mode. And so he said, I think we can give Daddy some of my strawberry milk. And I said, oh, that's a great idea. I think strawberry milk will really help Daddy feel better. Shall we go do that together? And that opened up the gateway for both of them to communicate and to make up after their quarrel, right? Where they could share how they felt and to be open about his feelings for my husband, and they could make up and say, well, I'm sorry for making you feel irritated, and say, okay, I'm sorry for raising my voice too. So that collaboration makes a big difference in transforming me versus my kid into let's do it together with my kid. And that really helped me, these 4 C's really helped me to not only get through my no yell challenge, but also just overall improve my communication and my connection, the engagement that I have with my children. And the best thing about it was I felt that it has changed me fundamentally. What used to be my go-to pattern, which was to just go into fight mode and just go into I need to right this wrong mode and tell them off, it changed my pattern into keeping it below that radar and engaging the 4 C's to approach it in a non-violent, non-yelling way. And when I normalize this new pattern, it becomes second nature for me to keep my tone and my emotions below that radar. In fact, it would feel a bit strange for me to engage into fight mode. So you can see how that changed my pattern fundamentally, that it has normalized in me to approach with this technique rather than to immediately yell and say, you're doing something wrong, I need to tell you off. And I also saw that change in my children because they feed off that energy. Remember I talked about mirroring that energy? So I realized that when I don't keep yelling at them, I realized in my older child's behavior that he doesn't yell so much at his younger brother anymore. And he's showing a lot more empathy, which I will talk about in the next episode. A lot more empathy, which he was a beneficiary of because he received that empathy from us. He was now able to give that empathy. So that change, I tell you, it's a life-giving cycle. Right? When you approach with that tone and your children mirror it, they mirror that tone and they start to feed that energy. You want to ask yourself, what kind of energy do I want my children to feed off? What kind of behaviors do I want them to exhibit as a result of learning and modeling from me?
Thanks for tuning in to the Experimental Parent. Remember, we are all in this together. So if you have a story, topic suggestion, or feedback you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. You can DM me on the show's Instagram, The Experimental Parent, or leave a comment here. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like or subscribe so you never miss out on future episodes. Your support means the world to us. So let us know, how was your experiment today?